The initial weekend was a great start, and then continuing in groups was important, very important in the journey. The second level weekends, I'm grateful for every one of those weekends for different reasons, and what I learned.
Welcome to the Crucible Project Podcast. The Crucible Project is a nonprofit organization committed to creating a world of men and women who live with integrity, grace, and courage, helping them to fulfill their God-given purpose. This podcast will discuss important and sometimes difficult topics while delivering practical life applications with men and women who are currently practicing this work. We are igniting Christ-like change in men and women through experiences of radical honesty and grace.
Yeah. Okay. So you're sounds like plugged in. You've got, a half initiated, half uninitiated group, and then what came up for you in the 15-week growth group, we call it, as you come out of a weekend. Were you like dead set on the weekend, like, hey, I want to keep doing this, or did it take a little time for you to get in, or what was that like to get into that group?
My close friend and mentor that really kind of initiated the conversation about inviting me to a weekend. His comment to me before the weekend and after the weekend is, it's like, this will do more. You will get more value out of this if you step into the groups. And
Okay.
and so again, I trusted his advice, and just felt like, as I'm embarking on this journey, I don't want to take a shortcut. I want to do the work, and I want to get the value out of it. I don't want to say, hey, this is 2.5 days and I'm done. I experienced a lot in those 2.5 days and wanted that to continue. And I just had a strong desire for growth and for it to continue. And it wasn't a question in my mind of if I was going to step into that growth group. It was a question of when is it available, and can I make it work with my schedule? And luckily, that group started relatively shortly after my weekend, and at a time and day that worked for my life.
Yeah. Well, and so the other two gentlemen are Patrick and Rob. And they had led before, and so I was joining in to lead with them. They were the morning people. By default, I would not have and have not chosen mornings for groups. So you can thank them for being able to make that work. Yeah, that was part of my growth. They're always up at 5:15 and doing their thing. I was like, wow, okay, this is a stretch. Yeah, so that initial 15 weeks, it's designed to continue the growth, right? Give more information and perspective and more experiences in moving through. So that initial 15 weeks, did you notice, was there another shift or another noticeable growth? Or yeah, how were those 15 weeks? And then interested in going into your first staffing and the 2-year group.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I think what the 15 weeks showed me is that this is something that will be valuable in my life. I'm seeing the value in it today, and I'm seeing the need for this growth to continue. And so that 15 weeks really just kind of kept the fire lit, that I wanted to continue to pursue the knowledge and about myself and about how I deal with things, and how I'm becoming a better and safer person to be around. It really just fueled. I experienced enough to know that there was more, and I wanted to continue. For me, I felt for quite some time. I don't know that I have how many months or how long this was, but I felt like I wasn't. I don't know what the right word is. Maybe I didn't feel like I was worthy or qualified to staff. And so the first thing I did was step into second level weekends. And so I started the 2-year group having 2 of the second level weekends completed.
Oh, interesting.
And
Do you remember which ones you did first?
I think it was mission and leadership 1.
Mission and purpose and leadership one. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I stepped into those and really didn't staff until sometime after those 2. And I know I staffed an initial weekend, and then with my 2-year group, the weekends that I had participated in, I staffed the weekends that I participated in the other 2 weekends, but I staffed the 2 that our 2-year group hadn't, that they were
Yeah.
participants on.
Yeah. Oh,
And so, and I had a great conversation with a man that I mean, it was a random call one evening just to talk to me about the Crucible Project. It was an initiated man that was, I don't even remember what the purpose of the phone call was, but I
yeah.
shared my feeling of not being qualified to staff,
Mm,
and he shared with me, he's like, God is going to find a way to utilize you just how you are to
mm,
bring value and knowledge to the weekend. And
yeah.
he just encouraged me to sign up to staff and show up. And
Mm,
it was really a great experience. And I'm just grateful for that man to have pushed into me that way, just on a random phone call. It might have been a call at the end of the year saying, "Hey, we're on a fundraising campaign," and
yeah.
it turned into just a great conversation that led to, I don't know whether it's confidence or comfortableness to sign up to staff and experience that for the first
Yeah.
time.
Well, I mean, I guess the word I would use would be what a blessing. God is ready for you to show up so he can use you just as you are. Um, yeah. Oh man, that gives me chills. That lands for me. And you had already done 2 other weekends, and how far into your 2-year program are you before you show up to staff an initial weekend?
I don't know, maybe a few months.
Yeah, or early on, definitely on the earlier
Yeah,
side than
yeah,
the longer
first few
side.
months. Yep.
All right, so yeah, we'll come back to the 2-year program, but showing up just as you are to add value and knowledge, I think, knowledge and value. What was your experience on the other side, showing up as a staff man? How was that different than your own weekend? How's that different than your own groups that you have done? Yeah, what's the new dimension to growth? You said you've staffed 10 times now,
Yeah.
so yeah, it seems like it was pretty profound.
It is, and it's just, what I find is that the container on the weekends, that the staff container, and then and the participants as part of that,
Hmm.
really just is a safe place to be, and just to be
Mm.
who I am. It's safe to. I heard you refer to up there, in
Mm.
Colorado, where the camp is in Colorado is up in the mountains, and it's a really serene place. The feeling of just God being present and the safety of the space and the participants
Mm.
has allowed me to continue my work. I think that, again, some of that experiencing that you're not alone, and that the challenges that you have, while they have some uniqueness to them, but we all have some of those challenges, and just that continued experience of safety, camaraderie, and understanding of not being alone has just been just really valuable for me.
We were just on a weekend, and one of the other men mentioned, and this stuck with me. That was um, a great visual. He's like, he was actually saying, I am now doing this work, and I am sorry that I have left it for I think a number of years. He's like, I experienced it like I mowed my lawn and then just like left it for a few years, and now I'm coming back to being. He's like, I just that visual that he's like, yeah, I don't mow my lawn once every 3 years. There's like some some amount of things that tend to grow and to come out, and yeah, whatever it is that my soul's seeking, those weekends seem to be the medicine for it. and being in those spaces, being with those men, is just the whole experience. I don't know if I have a better explanation for it.
My wife is, I'm 15 weekends in 5 years. And my wife encourages me to do it.
Mm,
She sees that I come back as a better man, as a better husband,
yeah.
as a better father, as a better leader in our business. And so
Mm,
I don't have I have encouragement at home, not feeling like there's a penalty for me to do this. And I
mm,
think that's just a testament to the value of the
mm.
community and the work is when others in your life can see that value in it and encourage you to continue.
Yeah.
That's part of what keeps me doing it. The other part is I know the same I see the same things that she sees, is that I come home a better man.
Yeah. I'm definitely a better version of myself, and having that reflected from my wife, because it's like you said, it's exhausting. It is energy. It's work. Um, part of the reward for sure, and the families pay part of that. I'm feeling tender that your family sees the benefit and they're willing to put in the work to let you come up, just as you are. Yeah. So as you have continued to staff, my guess is you have been invited slash challenged into different roles of leading on the weekend. Yeah, what's that been like for you? Has that in terms of the growth journey that you're on?
You're absolutely right. I get invited and challenged
Mm-hmm.
to do things that are outside of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's for me, like if you were to ask me to present to some of our clients my expertise in business, that's
Yeah.
really easy for me because I've been doing it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And asking me to step in to lead a process or work with a group on things that I've experienced quite a bit over the last 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have the 30 years of experience and daily
Mm-hmm.
experience of doing it that I do in my professional life. And so that's been a challenge. It's rewarding to me to be engaged in some of the small group activities on the weekends
Mm-hmm.
and get to know men and their stories um, and see places to ask questions and influence their thinking. That practice that happens on the weekend as a staff person translates really well into the rest of my life as well. It's that pause back, ask questions, seek to understand, that is really a big part of all of those processes that that is just really good practice for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And there was something you said earlier, it might connect here, it might not. That again, to be a staff member, to show up to lead different parts of the weekend, I have heard and seen is definitely a stretch. But there was a piece of fear of failure that you mentioned that seemed to be part of that growth, and I'm wondering if that connects with being challenged in the weekends to lead different roles, right? Without the 30 years of experience.
Right.
Um, yeah. So does that piece still come up for you? Even now, years later, and many weekends later.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it. What I find in those processes is that in stepping into leading
Hmm.
um, some of those things that I have less experience with, is
Hmm.
it forces me to prepare better.
Hmm.
And with 30 years of experience, I can wing quite a bit on the business side.
Yeah.
It's like I'm comfortable in this, and understanding that prep work is good for me to see the results of and how that applies in other parts of my life. It's just planning,
Hmm.
understanding that prep and preparation in learning, and at the same time knowing that the folks that are weekend leaders
Hmm.
and that are there staffing with the rest of the staff
Hmm.
are folks that have that same level of experience in this work as I have
Yeah.
in my professional life,
Hmm.
and that those folks are just really gracious with their time and their talents to help coach and mentor through that process. And so that coaching and mentoring that happens with the leaders, on the weekend, in the prep for the weekend, helps me see how I can show up to do those same things in other parts of my life as well.
Yeah, that there is some piece of the weekend of the way that I show up on the weekend is in so many ways the way I show up in my life, and the perspective that I can get and the learning and the growth I can get in that, as you've said, safe container. I just want to highlight the wisdom that I heard you saying. Like, I learned this on the weekend, and I bring that to my life, and to just honor, that making those connections, um, as part of the growth. Yeah, it might seem like a small thing, but yeah, to not just live in a weekend land, but to really bring that into your world and your life. Yeah. So as we head towards the end here of your 2 year group and your experiences coming out of that, yeah, what are some of the highlights that pop up on your journey as particularly bright spots or particularly challenging times through that?
I'd say some of the learning since the 2 year group. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I've been out of a group for about a year, working on getting back in a group. Have a couple of men that were working on that, and so the awareness of this last year of the importance of being in a group, um, it was really obvious to me this last time I staffed about 3 weeks ago, the importance of being in a group and the detriment that I've had over the last year of not being in that group.
Noticing that, yeah.
And
Hmm. Can we dive into that? I'm curious. What comes up for you? What have you noticed? Yeah, what have you noticed about not being in a group?
yeah, so I mean, what I've noticed is that I haven't had I haven't had the conversations with other men about the and other folks in my life about some of the challenges that are going on in my life.
Hmm.
And I haven't had that support, and I've felt more alone. Um, and really, that container on that staffing a few weeks ago, just it's like, wow, this is why I need this in my life. And so I think it's great learning. I could have probably skipped that step of not being in a group for a year and what I needed to learn out
Mm,
of that,
mm,
but it will stay with me forever.
yeah. Mm,
And just know that being in community, the adage of iron sharpening iron and men
mm,
sharpening other men, I missed that in the last year, and had that really strongly through the 2 year group, and about a year after the 2 year group, and then that group fell apart for various reasons,
mm,
and I didn't pursue bringing that back together, and the understanding of the need that I have in my life for that
mm.
need and desire. There's just being able to get those other perspectives and to be challenged on your thinking, and not being alone. It's super important.
Yeah, it's super important. I like that. Um, yeah. So this was a quote that challenged me in many ways and landed was we often learn best by doing it wrong. I like, uh, yeah. And I, I don't want to characterize, what you did is wrong, but I heard you say like, I don't think I needed that lesson, and yeah, yet you have it. So yeah, taking that away and to kind of look back at the whole journey you have, is there anything else that you would want to say to another man, wherever he may be, who's looking to maybe step into this or step into the next part, right? If they've done some parts, there's more work to do. Yeah, what would you want to say?
Yeah, I think the thing that I'd have to say is that there's the what I've learned has been hugely impactful in my life, in all aspects. And the initial weekend was a great start, and then continuing in groups was very important in the journey. The second level weekends, I I'm grateful for every one of those weekends for different reasons,
Mm-hmm.
and what I learned about myself and the things that are important to me, and the things that are challenging for me, and to pay attention to the reactions in my body that come up when I can have a negative reaction, the cues that I'm heading in a direction that's not great. I just I know that the relationships within my family, my community, and my business have all flourished because of the time investment that I've put into this. And it's this isn't I believe the initial weekend is a great starting place, but it's a start to a long journey.
Mhm.
And I see
Yeah.
this as a lifelong journey for me, and will continue to staff on a regular interval to just keep me connected with the work and learning more about myself.
What a blessing. There's a close friend of mine, and she put out there, the work that we do on ourselves is a gift to the people who love us. That was such a helpful way of framing. I want to keep working on myself, but just as a way of loving other people. And in that light, one of the common themes that I heard you talk about was just having this friend and mentor who showed up and encouraged you, and you trusted that person, and it has really led to a ton of growth. And I just wanted to reflect back to you. I've felt that from you, that you are a mentor, that you're a leader, that you're putting those things out there, and I trust and would follow you. So thank you for taking in that blessing, and thank you for living, for embodying, for taking the time to come and talk with us. That same blessing. I feel that. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, thank you.
In all those ways. All right. I think we'll say goodbye for now. Again, appreciate you so much. Appreciate your time, and look forward to staffing with you in the future.
Likewise. Thank you for your time, and thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure.
For more information about our weekends, please go to thecrucibleproject.org. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Rate and review wherever you are listening, and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform. Also, don't forget to check out myjourney2.com for your free 2-week trial. That's myjourneyto.com. Thank you for listening.